Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lead at Any Level Live. My name is Amy C. Waninger, and I am the founder and CEO of Lead at Any Level. Today, I want to talk to you about the leadership lie that is holding you back and holding your company back. This is such an important topic to me. If you're just joining, please put in the comments who you are and where you're from so that I can see you and I can interact with you because I want to make this interactive today. This is such an important topic, and it's something that too many of us believe is true. And if we believe it's true, it's going to bite us. I promise you. So, real quick, just to let you know who I am. Um, I am, as I said, the founder and CEO of Lead at Any Level, and I help companies attract and retain great people, keep them engaged, keep them on staff, and keep them moving forward. Now, I want to talk today specifically about this leadership lie. And if you have spent any time on social media, if you've gone to any free webinars, if you talk to any coaches or consultants, pretty much in the last 10 years, they're all going to tell you the same thing. And I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet. I want to see if you can guess. But if you know what I'm talking about, right? You go to these things and they tell you this lie over and over and over again. And I understand why this lie persists. It persists for a couple of reasons. Number one, coaches and consultants, it's our job to shake you out of your complacency. It is our job to kind of wake you up to what's happening and what's changing. The second thing is we really want to get your thinking going in a new direction, right? Sometimes you can't see where you are because you're stuck, or you can't see where you're headed because you're stuck looking at where you are, where you've been. And then finally, we want to make sure that we can help you invest in the right direction in your organization, in your people, and in yourself so that you are moving forward in a way that makes sense for you. And this lie that we will tell you sometimes is designed to do all of those things. Now, that's not to say that the lie is malicious in its intent or that it's bad for you necessarily, but I will say it's not the whole truth. Before I get to what the lie is, hi, Jen. Jen Sakai from 10KSB. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. So, Jen, I'll ask you, what's changed in your business in the last 5 years? Now, this is a question for everyone. What has changed at your company in the last 5 years? And we're not to the lie yet, but we'll get there. But if I were to ask you, name three things that have changed about your company in the last 5 years, what would you tell me? What's the first thing that pops to mind? It might be that, the way we work is different, right? Where we work is different. A lot more people are working from home. Digital nomads are a thing, right? Even work from home has become a misnomer because so many people working remotely have said, I don't really need to be here. I can be anywhere and do my job, right? So even where we work has changed. What about what we sell? The products and services that we sell probably have changed in the last few years, right? Because our consumers expect something different from us. Who we serve, which consumers or customers or clients do we even serve, might have changed. And if our target market hasn't changed, if we haven't shifted to a different target market, we've probably seen changes within our target market, right? There might be some turnover there. People are aging out of it or aging into it. The demographics look little bit different. What about how we market? How we market has certainly changed. Used to be if you wanted to market your business, you ran an ad in the phone book, right? The yellow pages. But you can't do that anymore. It doesn't work. Brands are increasingly leveraging social media and all sorts of strategies to reach new audiences. So when you think about what has changed in your business, what has changed in your company, what about who we compete against? It used to be that you could have a local mom and pop shop, right? And you were competing with the other local mom and pop shop on the other side of town. But now, with the internet, with logistics being what they are, right? You may be competing with rivals on the other side of the globe. How we deliver, when I was in college, I'm going to date myself quite a bit, but when I was in college, we used to get our music from, you'd fill out the little card that came in the magazine for the 8 CDs for a penny, and you get the CDs in the mail, and then you'd get a new CD every month or something. That was how we consume music, but streaming services have taken over that sort of consumption, the old model of consumption of media, right? What about, let's see. So I talked about where we work. What about how we communicate? How we communicate has changed. Used to be you would pick up the phone or you would walk into somebody's office or you'd schedule a meeting and everybody would have to fly in, and now we all meet on Zoom. Jennifer says developing relationships with their clients and referral sources is different post-COVID. Absolutely, because we don't meet in person. We don't walk around and see people like we used to, right? We walk around and in our house and we text or we communicate differently than we used to. We connect with people differently than we used to. We connect with different people even than we used to connect with. What about what jobs exist? 10 years ago, I don't even know if there was such a thing as a Python developer or a data scientist. Social media managers and virtual assistants did not exist 20 years ago, right? So the jobs that we're hiring for are different. The people that we're hiring for those jobs are also different, right? Because demographic shifts, we've now got global talent pools, remote workers, all of that has changed who we market open positions to. And we've also learned that, 4-year degrees aren't the only path to professional work. There are lots of, trade schools, of course, but there are also boot camps or people who are just going out and learning and creating on their own that are becoming experts, basically via YouTube now, that used to require a 4-year degree. So lots has changed in our talent pool and the way we hire, who we hire. How we invest is changing in our businesses. Investing has become more accessible, but if you think about some of the vehicles for investing that we have now didn't exist a few years ago, right? Crowdsourcing, crowdfunding, cryptocurrency, NFTs, all of that's pretty new. And how we get work done is different, right? So the internal processes and systems that we use, if you're in a big company and you haven't yet heard about agile or digital transformation, chances are you are going to. And if you have heard about them, you know that what those words mean is how we work is getting ready to change. The way we do stuff internally is getting ready to change, right? And so all of this change is happening all at once. It's all very rapid. And there's a lot of it. So if you think about what has changed in your company in the last few years, the answer might be literally everything. Literally everything has changed. But I'm going to say it's almost everything because there's one thing that probably hasn't changed a lot, and that is the way we lead. Now, I want you to think about for just a moment what leadership looked like a few years ago, a decade ago, a generation ago. How do we define leadership? What it looked like, what it sounded like, what it felt like, what it did? How have the leaders in your organization historically managed people, managed work? How have they adapted to all of those changes that we just discussed? Because leadership needs to be the first ones on board with change, but I've seen a lot of leaders saying, "Well, we just need to get back to normal," right? Normal being what existed before. Well, I hate to tell you guys this, but the Yellow Pages aren't coming back, right? Columbia House Records isn't coming back. Um, you know, manual processing of records is not coming back. If you've replaced your fax machine in your office, it's probably not coming back. And the old style of leadership is probably not coming back either. The old way we managed people isn't coming back. The people that we used to manage that way don't want to be managed that way anymore, don't want to be led that way anymore. And so, as the world is changing, leadership needs to change too. But think about in your companies, how have leaders historically been selected, evaluated, promoted, held accountable, and trained? Probably about the same way that they are currently being selected, evaluated, promoted, held accountable, and trained, right? So leadership needs to not only catch up to all of the changes in the world, but needs to be on the cutting edge of change. Leaders need to be the first to embrace it, and they need to move out ahead of it so they can help manage and lead people through it. Now, we can debate about whether leading from in front or leading from behind is the right way to go, but at the end of the day, people need to know where they're headed, and leaders need to be the ones to get them there. So if you think about all the stuff that's changed in your company in the last few years, how much has the leadership style or the leadership philosophy of your company changed? Truly. Now, this brings me to the leadership lie. This is the lie that so many people will tell you. And you probably know the end of this maxim or truism or axiom. If you do what you've always done, what? What's the end of that? If you do what you always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. That's the way I've always heard it. Well, I've got news for you. If you do what you've always done, you are in for a rude awakening because you can no longer fax your ad to the Yellow Pages headquarters and have them run your ad, and you're only competing with the other guy in the Yellow Pages in your town, and you're only competing for talent based on who picked up the local newspaper that day and saw your ad in the newspaper. The world does not work the way it used to. So if you're still doing what you've always done, your results may vary, and you're probably not going to like the results, let's face it. Because when you do what you've always done, you cannot get what you've always gotten because the world around you has changed. Now, if you think about your talent strategy for just a moment, you have probably noticed that it takes longer to find people. If somebody leaves, people are leaving at a quicker pace than they used to. It's harder to find their replacement, it takes longer to find their replacement. The replacement usually costs more, right? And I talked last week in my live about all of the hidden costs of turnover, all of the ways turnover is costing your company that you may not even realize, not just in terms of hard costs, but indirect costs and morale hits and, grass is greener syndrome, right? People start looking around going, well, what am I missing? So if you don't change now, you are going to miss the boat. And so you can't just do what you've always done to retain your talent. You can't just do what you've always done to find new talent. You can't just do what you've always done to develop your leaders. You have to do something different. Not because you want a different result, but even if you want the same result that you used to get, right? Even if you want the same result, you have to change the way you're doing it because it's no longer true that if you do what you always did, you'll get what you always got, right? Because the world has changed. So I want to invite you, if this is a problem in your organization, if leaders are stuck, if change is slow, if turnover is high, if people just aren't responding to you as a leader the way they used to, I would love to chat with you. And you can schedule time to chat with me at reduceturnoverstrategy.com. And we'll talk about what's going on in your organization, what's working and what's not, and what else might you try. Because each organization's a little bit different, but you're all experiencing the same external pressures: globalization, low unemployment, geopolitical turmoil, right? Technology advancement, change in demographics in the workforce and in your consumer base. All of these things combine to change the game for leaders. And so leaders need to adjust. Now, I don't want to throw any shade to the coaches and consultants who say, if you do what you always do, you'll get what you've always gotten, and it's time to do something different. I'm just saying that maybe they're not telling you the whole truth, because some people get comfortable in doing what they've always done and getting what they've always gotten, because if it's always worked, why should that change? Well, the fact is, it has changed. It will continue to change. And so we as leaders need to be ready to invest in our people personally, professionally, financially. We need to be ready to listen more. We need to change the way we lead. We need to change our concept of what leaders look like, sound like, think like, talk like, act like. And we need to make sure that we are on the cutting edge of this, because it's no longer true that if we do what we always do, we'll get what we've always gotten, right? Now, the truth is, if you do what you've always done, you are in for a rude awakening. Please join me at reduceturnoverstrategy.com to learn more about how Lead at Any Level can help you reduce turnover and attract better talent to your organization faster at lower cost, and also how you can help your leaders meet the challenges of today and tomorrow. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I will see you next week on Lead at Any Level Live.